Which one should we tell? Because there's just so many. I don't know if it's preparing for it that we should tell.
Yeah, maybe that first time.
So we, years and years ago, the number doesn't matter, years and years and years and years ago, a client approached us and said, hey, do you guys do ASTMC 494? And I said,
Yeah, of course.
yeah. We
Been
do it
doing it.
well.
We're one of the top ranked labs.
I never said that.
Oh, okay.
But I did say, yeah,
I feel
sure.
like you would have made
Sure, for the most part, we did it. And, we read through the specifications, we got the test, and we really did have most things set up to do. For the most part. Anyway, we got things set up. Got the contract together, lost money on the first one.
Oh, like a champ.
And then
Like a freaking champ.
our engineer makes notice of this ASTMC 1077 laboratory specification. They have to be certified. And none of us really understood. I understood, but I didn't put because I'd worked in many labs before.
Right.
But that was, man, I just missed that one. Sorry about that.
The one you used to work at?
No,
Oh.
here, yeah. Should have noticed.
What are you going to do?
So what we had to do is we had to get the CCRL certification, them coming out, inspection, proficiency exam, where they come out to your lab.
Off-season.
Off-season, so this is paying for somebody to get on a flight with all the equipment, out
Extra.
of cycle.
Paying extra.
Paying extra.
So much extra.
The first day we realized it, our principal engineer came to us and said, hey, BT Dub, we need to do this. And Whitney started looking at the prices of getting somebody out of cycle, and it was like $13K, $10K.
Probably, and the setup and everything that needed that was, and the problem was we had just spent a fortune getting everything we needed for the 494, and then we had started that, and we're getting
the dial gauges and
the freaking shrinkage molds and the flex beam molds and just but
then the things that we had to do to internally calibrate that stuff.
Oh, I know.
And the great thing about CCRL was you can fail it, I guess.
They give you time. They give you 3 months to not fail it. They give you 3 months to
you
make
get
your
dings,
revisions.
and you have to revise the dings and show them and tell them how you're going to correct it. So it is and
then provide proof that you have corrected it.
You can't really fail it unless you really want to fail it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can have a lot of things to deal with.
Oh, totally.
And then it's a nightmare with the back and forth.
Hey, we had a lot of things to fix our first time.
Sure.
And here's the thing. I don't remember how many less than dings you need to get, but if you get less than those dings, like 0 dings, you go from testing every 2 years to testing every 5 years.
Right.
Which I just don't understand how that business model works. And I said something about it in the last...
Because nobody is good enough to be tested every 5 years. Do you really think there's any labs that get few enough dings to get tested every 5 years?
We're going to be that lab. Listen,
I feel
that's one thing that
things.
I can argue about our experiences. So I remember our first experience. We had somebody come in who right away let us know that they let us know that this person internally was having a rough go at it, that they were already in a bad mood. We tried to make them feel at home. This person was angry because their cat was being thrown out by the significant other, and angry person. Something to that effect.
Right.
And we understood-ish. So we opened our house to them, had lunch, at home, made lunch, all meals, had snacks. Right. And this person totally took advantage of it.
Yep.
When Whitney says there are inconsistent problems, this person would tell me that I don't have to complete the rest of the ASTM. You're good to go. You can start cleaning up. Once I started cleaning up, this person would ask me, what are you doing? And this was on 3 different tests.
That's what I mean. I feel like they are always going to find. I feel like they create, in my opinion, they create the situation to have you mess things up.
Right. So I agree with Whitney that there are inconsistency issues, and I guess that's the first story. So I guess there's just a lesson in the story about what you do. It was the first time we ever got tested in this lab.
Right.
And very nervous. So we actually had all the stations set up.
Ahead of time, yep.
Every table had a number, station number designation to it. What that table, what that table was going to be used for, and then it had all the molds on it and everything.
Right.
Learned quickly, that pissed the person off. The inspector did not like that we were that prepared.
Sure.
So what we did is made our concrete, and the first question, we got this question both times, or the last few times I remember, 3 times, 4 times. Or you can use Quikrete.
What kind of question is that?
You know that's what they asked. Everybody who has come into this lab for CCRL has asked me the question. So you guys going to use Quikrete? And Quikrete, if you don't know, is a pre-blended dry mix. Concrete in a bag that you add water to. The ASTMC 192 that is part of the CCRL inspection or evaluation requires that you put your rock and sand in at different times than your cement. Like, there is a specific protocol.
So they just were trying to get it done faster?
I don't know, but then every time I've done it, when I've shown them that I'm going to do a butter mix,
they get annoyed about you doing the butter mix.
And they tell me it's not necessary, I don't need to do it. And then, more often than not, they walk out of the room.
Right.
So what do you do in that situation? And here's the thing. And you know, part of me wants to start recording all of this stuff. Part of me. But you do the job as it is stipulated in the ASTM.
You do it like you should do it on any other day for any client.
Any client, any day, you're treating them just like they were another client. A client, we have clients come into our lab all the time who
like you've got a client here watching you do the work.
Yeah, they want to see what it's like.
Right.
And we have no problem with that. So take it for that. And when they have questions, what I like to do is I like to have the ASTM open.
Right.
But not only that, I am a scholar of the ASTMs.
You are.
And we're not perfect. We're not infallible. And we will get to that point where we have strived for perfection to the point where we're pretty darn close.
Right.
So the lesson to be learned from the situation that I went through, where I specifically had the last time somebody tell me repeatedly from CCR, from your staff, tell me you don't have to do the butter mix. Well, I get to cherry pick when I do things right?
Right.
What about integrity? What about doing the right thing when nobody else is watching? Why are you coming out here? Why am I paying you to come out here if I can cherry pick the standards?
Right.
Left the room.
And that's the frustrating thing too, because if they leave the room and then they pop back in, they don't even know where you're at in the process. So how do they know if you're doing it right or wrong? And then they find something wrong because they feel like they need to make some comments since they just walked back in.
Do the right thing. Know your ASTMs.
Right.
You know, they're creating the environment. If you think about it, you're paying them to almost be like a personal trainer. This is the only way I can see it. You're paying them to force you to get the motivation to be a better lab, a more efficient lab, and a more accurate lab.
Right.
And if you look at it that way, that energy that you would normally put towards frustration becomes something else. Like, I mean, I used to be a personal trainer. I've had many personal trainers. You know, whether I was, putting on muscle or trying to train for a triathlon or a marathon. And the one thing there was a certain point where I always hated my personal trainer.
Sure.
I used to train Whitney. Whitney and I used to do races. Yes. 5Ks, 10Ks, 12Ks, half marathons. We loved racing. Of course, this was before we have kids. And there were many a point that Whitney would say,
never want to run again.
Okay, so then let's wrap up this story time with the real story. This is how I imagine CCRL. It's a love-hate relationship. I love to hate. But
Ditto.
I love you.
I love you too.
Whitney and I did a race. It was a 12K up in the mountains by
Coal Creek.
Coal Creek Canyon. Something like that.
Coal Creek.
Yeah. Whitney was driving. I was sick. Really sick.
You were really sick. And we were like winding up through the mountains. I'd never been there before, so I was going fairly slow.
10 to 15 miles under the speed limit, and we were already 10 to 15 minutes late for the race, 10 to 15 miles away. I don't know if all those numbers are accurate.
So he was being a giant jerk.
Giant jerk. By the
Carrying
time,
on, complaining.
and it was quiet, mumbling, cranky complaining. But I wasn't feeling it.
I know.
So we get to the race and there's no parking. So we had to park somewhere around 3/4 of a mile away from the race.
Correct.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
We get to the race, lo and behold.
It had already started, like a while ago.
And we started running it, and like within 30 seconds, we hit the finish line.
Right.
It was the fastest I've ever run a 12K in my life.
It was awesome.
And a whole bunch of folks who live up there in the mountains, really nice people, were like, "What are you doing? You went the wrong way." So at this point, Whitney and I have lost all patience.
Correct.
All patience. We had our headphones in, and we are cussing.
The little bit that we're talking, we are cussing.
Loudly. And there's people in folding chairs up and down these back country roads. Like, this was beautiful country.
It was. It was
beautiful
very,
country.
Very pretty.
Angry, yelling, like, F you. I mean, just bad stuff. This one guy, I might get emotional on this one. This one guy jumps out of his chair.
Right. He's like, the start of the race is over here. You can do it.
You can do it, you guys. Runs in between us. Old guy.
Yeah.
And Whitney and I started running right next to each other.
I was relieved before the guy came over because I was like, all right, we're just not going to do this. Because I was a little nervous about the race.
12K race, 1,000-foot climb.
In the freaking mountains.
It was like intense.
Yeah.
So we start running this race, and
Jonathan takes off.
I take off.
He's like,
I just was so there were thoughts. I was mad.
oh, I know.
And I stopped.
Honestly, I was kind of glad because you were just being such a giant jerk that day.
I stopped, turned around, and ran back to Whitney, and I said,
I love you, but I don't have to like you right now.
and I'm not leaving you.
So then we ran.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'm so sorry. I'm so mad.
Thank you. I know that you should apologize for that. The crappy thing was though, so once we actually got going, this freaking race.
It's freaking right. Once we got going, like, we were a good running team.
We were a good team.
We were a really high-low.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The high-low we killed.
Yep.
New Jersey Marathon, skadooshed that.
Yeah.
So this race, maybe we were half a mile into it.
And we see this like incline like this. So we get up it.
Like
and it
the type of incline where you have to run like face down so you can angle your body.
Yeah, seriously. And then
1,000-foot climb. It just kept going.
And Jonathan was like, we're almost there. And then the corner would turn and then it was like this. And the corner would turn and it was like this. We were just like, oh my. I was like, stop telling me we're done.
We're almost there. I kept saying that around the curve it's going to plateau out.
It did not.
Did not. Just kept going up. It kept going up. Kept going up. Finally, Whitney said at one point, just shut the F up.
I don't feel like I said that. You say
never.
I say the F words a lot
That's me.
more.
Every good story deserves some embellishment.
And lots of F words.
And lots of F words. That's also in the hobby. So we get through half of this race, 3/4, 2/3 of this race, and remember, like, at this point, I'm at a point in my life where I actually got pretty sick, and I really probably shouldn't have been running. And this was my first race back from being really sick, and I had trained a lot for this. Whitney, and I had trained a lot hills and timing and we see this couple.
Oh, we were probably in the last 10th of it. Like we
really?
were right, like could
Was
have been
it?
more than 1 or 2 kilometers out. Like we were right at the end.
So we see this couple right there.
Just walking.
No, they were doing the waddle shuffle, and they looked like us. Like it was.
They were a younger couple.
They were a younger couple running together, a little taller than me.
She was tall. She had brown hair, long brown hair.
He was taller.
Yeah.
Definitely taller than her, both of us. But you know, it was a couple racing together.
Right.
And I looked at Whitney and I said, "You think we could take him?" And Whitney's like, "Well, you didn't smush down your beard." And Whitney, like we have this thing that we used to do at the last, like, you know, so many point,
Right.
you know, so many meters, where we used to kick it out. And we used to say, kick it out, save it, save a little bit, save it. All right, now kick it out, get it ready, harder, kick it out harder, and then open that shit up. And we would all the way through, nice loose body,
right.
you know, running on the toes, keeping it out, chest. And Whitney, like, took all this training and mustered it up, and like her form, like she was reaching with her legs, like her strides, like I've never seen you run. And not only did we beat them, but Whitney passed them, and she didn't say the word. I can't say it.
Would not.
You said it with your eyes.
Maybe
when
with
you,
my
because she
eyes.
looked at them like, what? And we, like, they tried to kick it out.
Yeah, that
but
did not happen.
we were in such a rhythm with
Yeah.
our pace that we freaking smoked right past them. I
Yeah, we
mean,
did.
destroyed them to hit that finish line. I tell you, the best part about it,
The banana bread.
that chocolate chip banana
Oh, it
bread.
was so good.
Somebody from my graduating class from Colorado School of Mines was there too.
Yeah.
You know, hosting it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But anyway, that banana bread was amazing.
It
so,
was.
making it full circle, the reason why I'm telling this story, or we're telling the story, that's what CCRL is like. CCRL is like preparing for the nastiest race you have ever done, and New Jersey Marathon wasn't that bad.
It wasn't all sea level.
Yep, high-low, bad.
High-low was rough.
The Coal Creek Run,
That was the worst.
that was the worst. Hands down, that was one of the worst races I've ever done besides the stuff I've done in the desert.
Right.
Preparing for that, we knew going into it, we saw they gave you the map.
Right.
Like with CCRL, they give you the map. You know, you're signing up for this.
Right.
You don't get a penny, you get a certification number on the wall,
Right.
but you have to train for this.
Yeah, you do.
And it has to hurt. And if you don't train for it for the 2 years ahead of time, if you're not doing your recurring work schedule, the 3 months before they come in, you're going to be
brutal.
And that's the same thing for a good race.
Yeah.
If you wait 3 weeks until you're out of the race, you can train, but it's not going to be the same type of training. A little bit of hurt long term gets you stronger, lasting longer. A lot of bit of hurt in the short term, and you're really cramming that in and possibly injuring yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing for CCRO. Well, that was a good
Analogy. I like that.
really. Thanks for joining us today in Story Time.
Yes. Thank you.
Hope you learned something. If you got any questions, any concrete concerns, comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Go Concrete!
Beat asphalt.